Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again, and on today's episode, I have a wild story for you here today titled Wife Flips Out When I Get the DNA Test Results Back and Blames Me for Cheating. Now, before we jump into this story, guys, I have some exciting news. A lot of you have been asking me, Taylor, why are you not covering the crazy women over on TikTok anymore? And that's just because I'm having a little bit of a break because the women give me a migraine. However, guys, I'm going to be easing myself back into it, so I have set up a second channel where I will be doing one video a day where I cover some TikToks. So if you like that style of content, make sure you go and check it out. I will link it in the pinned comment, and I will start uploading tomorrow until either A, I get sick of listening to the women again, or B, we resume doing it, fully again, where I was doing 3 videos a day covering the women. And holy hell, that was disgusting. But either way, guys, don't forget to check out that channel. I'm going to get my editor to put it up on screen while I've been yapping. It'll be linked in the pinned comments, so make sure you go and check that out, subscribe, and I will start uploading to that tomorrow. In the meantime, we will take a look at this story here today, which hopefully doesn't give me a migraine, titled, Yes, Wife Flips Out When I Get the DNA Test Results Back and Blames Me for Her Cheating. So let's jump into this story here. It's a 29-year-old man, and he begins to have doubts about the paternity of his child after noticing inconsistencies in the timeline of his wife's pregnancy. When he quietly orders a DNA test, the results confirm what he feared, that the child is not his. But instead of showing remorse, his 25-year-old wife reacts with fury, flipping the blame back on him. What follows is a breakdown of trust, blah, blah, blah. So let's jump into the story here. This is a Reddit story, I believe, and it goes, I, a 29-year-old male, got a DNA test behind my wife's back, and she lost it, not because I was wrong, but because I was actually right. He says, I never wanted to be in this situation. I did not go looking for it. I didn't set traps or dig through her phone. I was just a guy who started noticing cracks in the story. And once I saw them, I couldn't unsee them. My wife and I had been together for 4 years, married for 2. She's 25. We had a daughter, and I thought everything was good together. She was 18 months old when everything came crashing down. Now, guys, before we continue this story, if you're a dude and you have doubts about the paternity of your child, whether or not you're the father, please get a paternity test, because there are so many dudes out here who women are lying to, right? They'll say, oh, yeah, the child's definitely yours, or I'm not cheating on you and everything's fine. But, there are a lot of guys who think that everything was fine. They get a DNA test, just because, and then they realize that the kid is not theirs. Right? Maybe they have a little bit of suspicion. Maybe they just want to make sure. Okay. And oftentimes the guys who have a little bit of suspicion, it was actually not misplaced, and it was a very real concern that the men have had. So let's continue. He says, at first it was the little things. She once slipped up and said that she wasn't even sure she was ovulating when we conceived. The math on when she got pregnant didn't really add up to when we were actually together. The baby had traits that didn't make much sense genetically, nothing drastic, just enough to spark a quiet voice in the back of my head. I ignored it at first, pushed it down, and told myself I was being paranoid, but that voice got louder over time. I see this all the time, man, where dudes have been gaslit by society so much, right, to not trust their gut, to not be quote-unquote insecure, to not question anything, because if you do, then that makes you the insecure man. Okay, that makes you the boyfriend who's toxic and controlling, or the husband that's toxic, or whatever. You're a narcissist, or whatever words they throw out these days, right? But the thing is, these dudes are oftentimes right, man. They are often, yes, they're not always correct, but the guys who are paranoid, generally when they have that gut feeling, there's a reason why they have it. There's a reason why they feel unpleasant when their wife is having girls' nights out. Okay, does that mean that your wife is going to cheat on you every single time that she goes on a girls' night out? I mean, maybe, but, maybe not. But there's a reason why there's a gut feeling there in the first place. He says, I didn't want to confront her without proof. I didn't want a screaming match or excuses. I just wanted the truth. So I did what I thought was fair. I ordered a discreet DNA test. I swabbed myself, swabbed the baby one morning while my wife was out. 2 weeks later, the results came back with a 0.0 probability of paternity. Wow. So this guy didn't even get, he didn't even get hope that maybe the kid was his. Maybe just a fraction of a percent. Nope. Just 0% probability of paternity. He says it was like a steel door slammed shut in my chest. The baby I had been holding, feeding, rocking to sleep for over a year was not mine. I sat with it for 2 days, didn't say a word, and just tried to process things. Guys, I'm not a father. I have mentioned this. But this has to be like one of the most gut-wrenching things you can possibly go through. Okay, you've got a wife, you've got a girlfriend, you guys have a kid together, and then it turns out that the kid wasn't even yours. But not only that, you've been looking after the kid for a good period of time. I've heard stories where dudes have looked after kids for longer than a year, and then they find out that it wasn't theirs. But still, a year is an incredibly long amount of time to be looking after a child which you thought was yours. That is crazy. Guys, I think women should absolutely face consequences for this. I'm talking legal consequences. There should be some real punishments for the women who go out here and do this. I think it's absolutely disgusting. You're essentially, you've cheated on the guy, you've wasted years of his life, and you allow this lie to continue. And then not only that, he's out here looking after the kid the whole time. You need to prosecute. Women need to be prosecuted when they do stuff like this. I'm sorry, guys. Like, it absolutely needs to be done. Let's continue. I finally sat her down and told her I had done a test. I didn't accuse her. I didn't scream. I just said that I knew. She went white and then red, and then she exploded. Not in guilt, not in shame, but in rage. She yelled, "How dare you go behind my back?" She screamed that I had violated her trust. Women love doing this crap, guys. Like, you catch them doing some nonsense. And there are dudes who do this as well, obviously. But again, I don't think dudes are as, quick to jump at this kind of crap. They'll tell you that you violated their trust when you catch them cheating. I mean, this guy caught the woman, committing paternity fraud, essentially, here. And she's sitting here going, "You violated my trust." Like, can we take a moment to appreciate just how disgusting the gaslighting is in this situation, that she turns it back on him? So she calls him controlling, and even had the nerve to say, "This is your fault. You were emotionally distant, and that's why I cheated." I don't know what the hell emotionally distant means. Women will just throw out adjectives after the word emotional or emotion and just hope that it makes sense. But this is no justification. Like, imagine if dudes were walking around and they were like, "Yeah, guys, my wife, she was emotionally inadequate for me. So what I did was I went out there and I cheated on her with a bunch of women." It makes no sense, man. It makes absolutely no sense. So he got cheated on, lied to, and manipulated into raising someone else's kid, and somehow it's his fault. Yep. Welcome to being a dude. You'll just get blamed for everything, even though it's not your fault whatsoever, because she doesn't want to take accountability. In less than 5 minutes, she went from court to victim. She called her mother, told her I was abusive for testing the baby, started spinning the story like I had done something cruel, like I was the one who betrayed her. She never once apologized, not for cheating, not for letting me believe that the child was mine, not any of it. She even had the audacity to say, "You were such a good dad. What does DNA even matter?" This reminds me of those posts. I think I've seen some of these posts that originated on Twitter, where like women will say that men need to look after kids that are not their own because it's the right thing to do. Like, what does it matter? You need to step up and be a real man. And I'm over here thinking to myself, why am I supposed to be looking after a kid that is not my own, right? Women are actively trying to shame dudes into doing things that just make no sense. "Oh, you're not a real man if you don't look after my kid. What does DNA even matter?" Again, it reminds me of the thing also where women are like, "Hey, my past shouldn't matter. So what, I've been with 35 guys, or so what, I used to work in the night work industry, or so what, I used to have an OF account. You should accept me anyway." Yeah, no thank you. So he filed for divorce in a week. He said, I wasn't going to be gaslit into raising someone else's child while the woman who lied to me painted herself as a victim. I consulted a lawyer the next morning, filed for divorce, and cut off emotional contact. I mean, you should cut off all contact as best as you can, in my opinion. She fought back hard, tried to keep me in the picture for the baby's sake. But the truth was the baby wasn't mine, and no amount of guilt tripping was going to make me forget it. She told our friends that I was abandoning his daughter, like my daughter, he means. Some of them took her side. Others privately reached out to say that they suspected something for a while. I feel like, if you're one of these friends and you suspected something for a while, you probably should have said something. Also, the friends who are saying that, they take her side, throw these people out immediately. He says her family even contacted me to say I was cold and heartless. I ignored it all. I had wasted 2 years in a fake marriage and over a year parenting a child built on a lie. I had nothing left to give. Guys, this is why DNA tests are so important. I think there should be DNA tests that are, standardized at birth, right? Whenever a child is conceived, I really do think that there needs to be immediate DNA testing that is done on the child just to make sure the father is actually the biological father, because there are so many men walking around right now who think that they are raising their own kids when in actual reality they are not. But guys, I'm going to be leaving today's episode there. Don't forget to check out my second channel. I will leave it linked in the pinned comment. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Peace.